Welcome to the special edition of the Unchurned CS Insider Report. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Unchurned. I'm Josh Schachter, CEO of UpdateAI, host of Unchurned, and these guys are making me laugh here. This is our first, I'm incredibly excited. This is our first episode collaborating with CS Insider. So we're going behind the scenes of this week's CS Insider Report. It's a bi-monthly report that comes out that gives you all the best in the world of customer success. And I'm here with some very special, important guests to help us have a roundtable about everything in this week's report. First off, we have Mr. Jon Johnson.
What's up, guys? Jon Johnson here. And do we know it's bi-monthly or bi-weekly? Like, have we had that discussion yet? Because it's the same.
Yeah. Next up, Kristi Faltorusso. Kristi, say hi.
Hi, Kristi. That's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Nailed it. And Mickey Powell.
Hello, I'm here.
You're here. Cool. So we assembled this group. These folks are leaders in the space, have lots to say about customer success. I'll be moderating for the most part because I have less to say, but I think I could help drive the conversation a little bit. And we're gonna have a lot of fun. The only rule of this program moving forward is for each of our guests, each of our co-hosts here, to be their authentic selves. So anything goes. Given that this is the first episode where we're all together here, we're all in some sense meeting each other, and maybe some listeners are meeting us as well here. They don't know much of our background. I wanted to play around a little bit with a format for an icebreaker. I'm reading this book, or I just finished this book. It's called The Microscript Rules. And it's basically about how to create a tagline. But you can also apply that to yourself and describing your own life. And they have this thing, and I think there's even a website and a book that was published where you have to describe your life in 6 words or less. And when you look at it in the book, like the examples this guy gives, Bill Schley, it's actually quite poetic. It's almost like haiku, the way people have it. I don't expect haiku today, but I want to go around, and I would like for us to learn about each other and our listeners to learn about us through 6 words or less. Well, 6 words about your life. Jon, you're up.
Oh, God, I'm first. But here's my 6 words. Elder millennial, theoretical firefighter, coffee first. Do we have to explain now?
We're gonna piss on each other for these. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So 82. I was born in 82. We are arguably, we are the first millennial generation. It's kind of between 82 and 83. And I feel like that says a lot about us. Like, we saw the world before the internet, and then the screeching of the internet, and then whatever the is going on right now. Like, we've just seen it all, right? Theoretical firefighter. I like solving problems. This has been kind of a tagline for me for a long time. I don't actually I have put out fires camping, started fires not camping, but also I like getting in a room together and figuring out a problem that we're trying to solve, or something of that nature. So this idea of like a theoretical firefighter, I think that's very poetic. And then coffee first. I have a deep love for coffee. Like, it is my favorite thing. It's the thing that connects most of my relationships and friendships. I make fancy scientific coffee at home, and I will blow your mind with I like have awards for pouring cappuccinos and like all kinds of stuff. So I was raised in the coffee scene in Seattle. When you're a musician, you figure out that the best way to make money is at a coffee shop, not as a musician. So that's my 6 words.
Do you need coffee to get up in the morning? Or are you just like a zombie before coffee?
So I would say yes, but I'm after going to a therapist for so many years, I have learned. I've actually been working on doing other things before coffee. So like exercising or meditation or something like that kind of gets me to the coffee, not because it's like a problem or an addict or anything of that nature. But I think that there's like an immediacy. I love coffee, and I feel like I get up in the morning and I just like chug a cup. If I've had 2 cups, I can't have a third. Otherwise, like everything shakes. And I want to enjoy my coffee, and I spend a lot of money and a lot of time on my coffee. So like I make sure that I have food in my stomach, and I make sure that I like have something before I have my coffee, so that when I do, it's almost like a methodical nature, if you will.
So talking about like just early mornings and I don't know, Kristi, you get up really early. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Should I introduce myself as I get up really early?
I don't know. I was looking for a segue, but I know you're like one of these, like, I get up at 3 a.m. type people.
I do. I don't get up at 3. Sometimes I get up at 3. My alarm goes off at 4:05 every day, so I can get up and go to the gym. I'm at my house by 4:20, at the gym by 4:30. Class starts at 5. So like very, very heavily regimented from like 4 a.m. till 8:30 when I'm like butt in seat at work.
So you're at the gym at 4:20, just as John and Mickey are engaging in other activities.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
We don't want to know. We don't want to know. Whatever you're doing is fine. It's none of my business what you're doing at 4 a.m.
Oh, it's 4:20. Come on, it's legal. Yeah.
AM isn't the same as PM, right?
It is.
Oh.
Wake and bake.
I'm old.
That's funny.
Kristi, 6 words.
Okay. I did not edit this 100 times like John, but I think I nailed it, and I only did it once. So we're going to see. Stopped caring what others think. Success.
I love that. That's actually great. Yeah.
I think that summarizes my life, because I spent I want to say my first 30 years of my life probably over caring what people thought about everything, right? How I looked, what I said, what I did, who I dated, right? Like just every aspect of my life, I feel like was like something I consumed myself as other people's opinions about things. And over the past 10 years, I've been maniacally focused on not giving not caring.
You can say it. You can say it. We're not people.
Okay, I'm not giving a shit what other people think. And I will say that my ability to shift my focus to just doing what I'm doing and focusing on me and the output of what I'm doing and who I am and existing for me has driven so much success personally and professionally for me. Over the past 10 years, I met my husband. I had personal success, career success, right? All the things good that I think of that I have today in my life all came when I stopped caring what other people thought.
I love it. I see that about you. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. You're very focused and you're able to be very productive and get so much done for that reason, I'm sure.
Also the most like a haiku so far.
Right? Because I gave the sentence and then my final word, and that had an exclamation point when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Mickey Powell.
Mikey.
Yeah, I can't encapsulate really what I want to say, which is probably what I should be putting in my 6 words. And again, like you, John, I definitely spent way too much time thinking about this. So I put existential dad, technically correct, sleep enthusiast.
Technically correct. Oh, I like that. There's a little bit of ego there, but I think that's a good thing. Like, I think it's like, that's really, I like that.
Yeah, it's like, how much do we want to unpack it, or not at all, and we just move on?
I actually think it's also you're the Chat GPT guy, Mickey. I'm forever like labeling you and classifying you like that, and I feel like that's like your ode to Chat GPT. Technically correct.
Yeah,
I was most excited by your enthusiasm for sleep. To be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I'm a big napper, right? So like for me, like yes, I do get up early, but there is nothing I love more than like a 2-hour nap at some point. I don't know how to nap for less than 2 hours. Like if I'm going down, it's like I'm down.
Yeah, I took a nap Sunday afternoon, and my favorite thing about naps is not knowing where you are when you wake. Like when you wake up, you're like, do I need to go to work? Do I have children? Like what is going on?
Has anybody ever fallen asleep on a call with a customer? Be honest.
Yes.
No.
Like definitely a long blink. I will say like long blinks are definitely a thing. And that happens in the afternoon for me. Like after 3 p.m., it's tough. Like, again, I've been up for almost a full day at that point, right? So it's like a blink that you forget to open your eyes back up. And then you're like, oh, okay, someone can see me because I'm on a Zoom. So.
Okay, Kristi, what do you define a blink, and when do you transition into nap? Is there an over-under on...
I'm so tired that I feel like every time I blink, it might be a micro sleep. I don't know.
Maybe you shouldn't get up at 4:30 in the morning.
No, I need to.
4:05. 4:05.
4:05.
Kristi, I actually like got in the habit of power napping to the point where like I would set my alarm for like 20 minutes, and I basically trained my body that as soon as you start to kind of feel that drifting off, I'll snap back out of it, and then I feel refreshed. And there's science to back that up.
I know. I feel like there's been a lot of TikTok videos lately or Instagram reels that have talked
do any of that.
about like your brain recognizes sleep after a certain amount of time, and then like you kind of fall into this thing. It's why you shouldn't hit the snooze button. There's like a lot of logic behind that. Like don't snooze, just get up.
I don't talk. I don't tick or talk.
You don't tick or talk.
I don't either. I watch Instagram reels, which I was told by my daughter is where old people go to watch TikTok.
Yeah, it's what happened on TikTok a month ago.
Right? Yeah. So she's always like criticizing me for being very, very behind.
Oh, so I go on Reddit. So then am I 2 months behind?
Oh, you're like not even relevant. I don't even know what's happening on Reddit. I think Ronald Reagan is still president on Reddit.
All right, I'm going now. Ready?
Yeah.
Larry David meets Shaq in progress. Those are my six words. Sick words too. Yeah. So
Larry David. Okay, so I want to know what attributes of Larry David and what attributes Shaq.
I was going to say, have you just met him? Like, listen, I haven't known Josh his whole life, but he definitely throws Larry vibes.
He does. Yeah, but where does Shaq... I want to know the crossover between...
Oh, Shaq is just because of his big shoes. No.
Interesting.
No, Shaq. My last name is Schachter. I grew up idolizing Shaquille O'Neal. Also, I feel like Shaq is he's a very jovial person. You know, like he, which is not me, but it's something to aspire towards, I suppose. And
have you ever seen Shaq eat a bagel?
No.
Does it look like a bagel bite? Like if he's eating a normal size bagel, does it look like a bagel bite?
Yeah, it's like a bagel bite, like a beer can, and it's like an 8 ounce. It's amazing.
It's adorable.
And in progress, because I think this is what you were saying, Kristi. We're all in progress, right? The Growth Mindset was a book that really inspired me. So there's
El Dweck. She's legit.
Oh, it's great. I bought copies of that for people. I mean, it was incredible.
How do you give that to them without seeming rude?
This
it's like I really think that you would benefit from this growth mindset book.
No, I did.
You messed up in a lot of ways. Here you go.
I bought it from my boss at my last job.
Even worse.
Well, that's the Larry David part. It all comes full circle. Okay, should we talk about customer success or should we just banter?
Why?
You know, like Mark this clip. We're 10 minutes in, so if you want to skip all the banter, just start out right now.
In the show notes.
I think people would watch the banter and stop for the customer success.
I was going to say, customer success is played out. Do we need to talk about it?
Well,
this is giving Joe Rogan vibes, and I'm here for that.
So 4 hours from now, we'll finally get to the topic.
He's nailed it. Are you kidding me? Who doesn't listen for all 4 hours to get to the one sentence punchline at the end?
Can I make a statement that might exclude me from future podcasts?
Interesting. Yeah.
I've never listened to an episode of Joe Rogan.
Me neither.
Okay. Do you guys want to hear an interesting fact?
Yeah.
I've heard almost every Joe Rogan podcast, but I have never played it on my own device or have opted into listening to it.
It's a forced experience.
My husband just walks around the house with it playing on his phone, and so it's like just on all the time.
You're getting secondhand Rogan. That's
Yeah. I'm sure I'm not the only woman out there.
Okay, Nick Mehta, everybody. How would we start talking about CS in our first episode without?
I've heard of this guy.
How can we not talk about Nick, right? But he did write a post, and it is included on LinkedIn, and it is included in the upcoming report for CS Insider this week. By the way, we're filming this. Today is the first day of spring, so happy spring, everybody. It's also my dad's birthday and my parents' anniversary, but I digress. Yes, so Nick talks about making everybody, I mean, unfortunately it's true, is looking for jobs right now. It's just the world we live in. I think I got a notification this morning that Amazon is laying off 9,000 more, right? So it's like 27,000. Yeah, crazy.
Yep.
So Nick gives some advice. And by the way, everybody, we're going to put the links to all these articles that we discussed from the report in the show notes. So you can check it out there. And of course, if you're subscribed to CS Insider, you'll get the report there. You'll get all these links. And Nick talks about his tips for candidates of ways for them to really kind of network and get the insider look into these roles. And so I want to talk about that with you guys. What Kristi, I want to start with you. What are some ways you must receive, you've been a manager now for years. What are some of the ways that have been most successful in getting a candidacy in front of you?
Honestly, it's the network. I would say that's the fastest way for me if I was looking, and then also for the candidates that actually I end up hiring, almost always are referrals. I would say of everybody I've hired in my professional career, I would say more than 50% of them have been referrals through my network and somebody saying like, this is somebody you have to hire. And
it's just like that. Is there any like tactic that has stood out to you that somebody has, because of a thank you letter or a cover letter or this or that? Or is it just really, it's the strength of the referral and the factors of like who's giving the referral, how strong it is, et cetera?
Well, all those things obviously play a big part of it, right? Like, I won't just take a referral from anybody, right? Like it has to be a trusted, reliable source, one that I feel comfortable that would be referring somebody appropriate for the role. But listen, I think today there's so many ways for any candidate to stand out. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity for folks that aren't taking advantage of it. I don't know about you guys, but like I very rarely get a thank you or follow up from interviewing anymore. And I feel like just like, wow, when did we stop doing that? I don't know if it's a generational thing, but like when I first started interviewing, like early in my career, I would write a thank you note on a card and mail it to somebody. Now I get that nobody does that anymore, so that's fine. But email works, right? Guess what? I bet you if you even just took that one little step to send a follow-up and a thank you, here's what I learned, here's what I heard, here's why I think I'd be a perfect fit, you would be doing something that most other candidates aren't doing today.
Yeah.
Like that's how easy it is to stand out. And I won't even go into all the fancy tech things you could do, like with ChatGPT.
Oh, that's good. I was thinking about this too. There's a couple of guys that I'm mentoring right now that are on the job market, and they're like, "Do I send a follow up?" It's like, yes, always send a follow up. I think that there is, if you follow TikTok and if you follow any of the trends in the space right now, like there is this kind of like back and forth of like people are kind of tired of employers taking advantage of the employees. So they're like, if they have been on the market for a long time and they've sent 100 resumes in and they've got no responses and maybe they get that one interview, it's really hard to say like, why should I go above and beyond when these companies treat me like a number and they don't even tell me that I'm not even excluded, right? Like it's that back and forth. And I do think it's a double-edged sword. I think that there's a lot of people that desperately need jobs and maybe they're doing the spray and pray. They're applying to 100 jobs. And they're maybe not being as tactical or strategic as you and I may be because they don't have the ability to or the space. But I do think that there is something about how do you make like a human emotional connection when everything is digital. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. Kristi, this is one of the things that I wanted to ask is, the email is great. I actually had one of the guys that I was mentoring. He just got an offer. He's like, hey, do I send a follow up? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. And he goes, in what avenue? Right. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I added him on LinkedIn, and like all this kind of stuff. Right. And it's like he's like got 4 channels that he could reach out. He's in a Slack group with him, this guy that he interviewed with. And it's like, that's actually a really good question. And I didn't have like a direct answer. I was like, whatever you feel is the strongest way to kind of make that connection. How do you feel about this? We live in a world that is like multifaceted with communication. How do you rely on email? Do you accept those thank yous on LinkedIn? Or, if somebody comments on your LinkedIn, are you like, oh, this is really thoughtful? Or, if the advice that I gave is like, if you just connected with this person and you post something that is in reference to what you talked about, it's more likely to get in front of that person because of the algorithm, right? It's a new connection and that kind of stuff. Like, at what level do we carry this? Because look, I can send an email out and say, thanks so much, this is great, and then move on to the next one. But like, that's like bare bones, right?
Yeah.
I would say like, listen, you got to know your audience. Call me like ancient and archaic, but like I love email still. I may be the last person out there making that claim. I know it's bold. I love email. Like me and Dave Blake, my CEO of our client success, he likes Slack. I like email. I'll email him something. He copies it into Slack and replies there. Like, I mean, it's horrible for us to try to communicate. Know your audience. Not everyone is active on LinkedIn. So even though you just connected with somebody there and they accepted your request, if they're not active on it, they might miss your message. Right. But if you have found that in your correspondence to get to where you are now, they've been responsive over email and that's been your avenue of dialogue, stick there. Right. So I think just give it some thought. I don't think there's one way to do anything. I also like a little creativity. As much as I do love email, I've gotten some interesting Loom videos and follow-ups, and I love a personalized video or even the audio. Even like on LinkedIn, you can do an audio recording if you're doing it from your mobile device. That's super cool and personalized. So I just think technology gives us so many different ways to communicate what we want to various people. Just give thought into who you're doing it with.
I like to send bunt cakes.
I would love to be a recipient of a bunt cake.
Bunt cake as a service.
Interesting.
Cast.
Yeah, here's $10 million. Go for it.
Hey, I'm telling you, nothing bunt cakes is legitimately my favorite. Like if I can get that in front of people, like it works 17% of the time.
You're saying people really love butter and sugar and flour?
They love it. Yeah.
Wasn't there just like a Utah company that just opened up or somewhere that is doing bunt cakes, like fancy bunt cakes? I think you should Google it. I'm pretty sure like after Crumble.
It's nothing bunt cakes.
Nothing. Yeah. Yes.
It's a West Coast thing.
I've been using them for like a decade.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm over here in New York. I don't know about these bunt cake things, but I'd like to participate.
All right. I'll send you one, Kristi.
I'd be excited to receive it.
Can I say one thing that stood, Mikey, do you have an opinion? I want to point something out in
His name's Mickey, but that's cool, John.
Oh, it's Mickey? Mikey? Oh,
Mickey. Like the mouse or the mantle.
Hey, Mickey.
You know, anything goes on this podcast except for mispronouncing your co-host names.
Yeah.
Don't assume LinkedIn connections are real. He says, people will often ping me and say, I see you're connected with X. In reality, a huge percentage of these, I actually, this is the thing that I think is incredibly valuable. We do this a lot when it's like, I meet a customer, it's like, oh, we're connected to these 15 people. And you really only know one of them, right? And it's like, kind of like digging through the bullshit of like, how do you know these people and what that that org structure really is. I think I've some friends like, this is just a weird market right now. Everybody's looking for work. So like, oh, this person at that job. And I'm like, I randomly followed them 3 years ago and I've never interacted with them. I can't make an introduction. I would love to, but I think there's a lot of intelligence in leading with, hey, how do you know these people? Do you have a deep relationship? And like kind of getting to the heart of that. And then even like, there's something that's actually like symbiotic there too, right? Where like, there's value for me if I nurture a relationship with this person and maybe find value that has been in my network for years that I haven't really interacted with, right? And it's like, how do you have that kind of two-sided relationship?
Oh, totally. I mean, so there's a guy at Zoom who was recently part of the layoffs, and I think really highly of him. And I introduced him to about 10 of my friends and whatnot in the product management world, because that's where I came from. And this was a way for me to I got responses, and like I was able to reconnect with people that I hadn't spoken to in years. So like there was a huge value. I think even one of them was like ended up in something for UpdateAI that like we moved forward with, right? So like there's huge value to that. The other thing I'll say is like sometimes if I actually really want to help somebody, for the people that you don't want to help, it's like, I don't really know that person, fine. But if you really want to help the person, I think you can still send the email, even if you don't know that person. You're like, hey, we're connected on LinkedIn. I don't actually know you, but I think really highly of this person, and I would like to make an intro. And I think that there is that social proofing in play, even if you don't really know that contact.
Yeah, I love that.
And I'll say this: the last 4 or 5 jobs that I've gotten have all come from networking, and a lot of them have come from networking I did when I wasn't looking. So I know this doesn't help the people that are looking right now, but after you find that next job, and I hope that it's soon, don't stop. Like keep networking. And I kind of always just kept it in the back of my head of like, I'm going to be active in the various communities. I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to try to help them. I actually do a lot of like, I try to help people because I know at some point in the future, it's going to come back to me either via karma or directly, or they'll be more willing to help me if I need. So, and people have helped me in the past, so I do kind of see this going forward. So you should never stop networking.
Before we move on, I kind of messed up the beginning of our intros here. We didn't actually introduce like where we work. So can we just like very quick, like in half a sentence, it doesn't have to be a whole spiel, right? Like, so I'm Josh, founder, CEO of UpdateAI. John, who are you?
I am John, principal customer success manager at User Testing.
Kristi
Faltorusso, chief customer officer at Client Success.
Mickey.
And I'm Mickey. I'm the co-founder of UpdateAI, Josh's right-hand man.
Head of go-to-market. Yes. Sounds more official. All right, let's move on.
You told me to say co-founder.
I know, but but it's co-founder and head of market. Anyways, so SaaSter. Let's talk about SaaS. Now I'm all like verklempt.
Jason Lemkin.
He's frazzled everybody.
Oh, I'm from Long Island. I don't need a translator. I know exactly what he's meant. So.
Coffee talk.
That's right. I'll give you a topic.
Rhode Island, neither road nor an island. Discuss.
I hope everybody gets the reference. And if you don't, you need to look up Coffee Talk SNL.
Oh, from the 90s.
No, just Google the word verklempt.
Verklempt.
Good luck.
No. Yeah. Do an image search.
Oh yeah, there you go,
Kristi. No,
I feel like what do you guys think would come up with an image search? I think it would be like some like phlegm from the back of like an old person's throat or something. I don't know.
Nope, you're gonna get something way worse.
You're gonna get something way worse, Scott.
Oh,
Mickey knows.
Well, because whatever. Anyway.
Use your work computer, folks.
Yeah. Okay, so Jason Lemkin, this guy.
Go, bring it up. Go, John. John, roll with it.
Okay. His headline, the question that he is trying to answer in his post, again, linked in all of the places. So what can you really do to get churn down and retention up? here's my basic list. Some of it may be obvious, but here's the thing. Most startups he works with don't even do half of the items on this list. So before we jump into the list, because everybody has a list, I would love your opinions on, because we're in customer success, we have to talk about churn, and the name of the podcast is Unchurned. What do you do with bad fit customers, and how do you handle the churn that you basically know is coming, but you still need the money? Right?
We're in like a dirty business.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a little bit of like a contrarian view here.
No.
And Kristi, actually, this is like part of learnings that I got from Micah at Bright Edge, or from, you worked with him at Bright Edge. So like, guys, like at the basics of it, like you acquire a customer, you pay all that money to acquire that customer, and you need them to pay that back, hopefully in a reasonable amount of time.
Yep.
To put that on the list is completely disregarding the fact that your peers in sales and marketing have an entirely different set of incentives. And to just be like, it's just bad fit customers and they suck at selling. I'm like, you are obviously not working with your counterparts to redefine what good and bad fit is, redefining your operating model against those people. And so and by the way, I come to terms with this because I struggled with this when I was the only customer success manager at 5 Stars dealing with retention, and we were selling small businesses in the US. So like, they're paying us $200 a month. It wasn't like, huge contracts, but the volume was massive. Once I kind of got rid of that whole stigma of like, this is a bad fit customer and I'm pissed at sales for selling a bad fit customer, and I started participating in the process of helping them identify and sell and operate around those customers, it made not only the relationship better, just like with my peers, but it also led to better outcomes for us as a company.
Yeah, you went where I wanted you to go. And this is, I've been kind of nurturing this opinion here where a lot, like Marcus talks about this all the time, is like, you have a bad fit customer, burn it. Like, it's got to be over. Like, there's a lot of opinions about like bad fit customers. And I think that just means that, if CS is kind of like the center of this customer facing or customer led organization, we're not telling our counterparts, whether it's product or sales or marketing, what's falling through the cracks, right? If it's kicking it over to our line, our side of the fence, and we're just like, well, I can't, they don't fit the persona, right? Like, we're not doing a deep dive into data of understanding how people are using our platform. We're just labeling them as bad fit and moving on. And I think that we give up a lot of growth, not maybe just revenue, but also like the humanity of a person solving a person's problem with the software. Like, if they're doing something unique and creative that's solving their problems and it doesn't fit your ICP, why is that a bad fit customer, right? How do we get to the point where we are feedback loops, where everything that we do, when we lose a customer, is because a product knows, and they do a justification on, is this, do we want to keep losing X amount of revenue over the time, or are we going to build something, right? I mean, it comes back to that cyclical conversation that we need to have, not just with sales, but like you said, marketing. How are you attracting? What do your demos look like? What do your visuals look like? What do you solve? What problems are you saying you're solving in your headlines and whatnot?
Kristi has no opinions on this?
That is false. I was just waiting for a good opportunity to jump in with my 2 cents. So I wholeheartedly agree with both of you. So we've taken a few different steps here at Client Success, and I want to share it because I think that they've been helpful. So one, we do a churn reason analysis every end of month. We have the ability in our platform to track reason codes. So when a customer churns, we've got prescriptive reason codes that have already been predefined. So we're tagging them. This helps to reduce like people custom writing long paragraphs and us trying to decode what they've actually meant, right? Like, we're tagging them. Then you have like your narrative. That's helpful. But so that thematically is helping us understand where are those holes and what's happening with those customers. But upstream, what I've taken some time to do now is I've defined what I've called a success probability score. Now, your customer, your sales team, right? They're working with marketing and hopefully your customer success team and all go to market and have defined an ICP, right? And hopefully your ICP is pretty dialed in at a point where you aren't bringing in loads of bad fit customers. But just because they do match your ICP doesn't mean that there aren't underlying issues that will prohibit them from being successful within a particular amount of time, right? So what I will tell you is like, our ICP usually can always be successful, but over what amount of time and with what amount of resources. So we designed this success probability score that helps me stack rank now based on 12 different points of criteria, how successful this customer can be based on these things that are unique and specific to them and have nothing to do with their business, but really understanding who they are, right? Like resources, their tech stack, where their data lives, first-time leadership, where does CS roll into? Do they have a strategy? Have they deployed CS technology before, right? So we've got all of these factors and come up with a score that allows us to rank these customers, which helps us understand resourcing and time to value, which will look different depending on the different cohorts. That has helped us navigate some of that bad fit and really reduce that, helping transform customers who would be on the fence, right? Getting them to value.
Visit clientsuccess.com for more. No, but I love it. I do love it.
That was a formula that I created, and I do it in Excel. And I have the sales team fill it out. But what was cool about it, it was a forcing function for sales to understand why even a good ICP customer can still go bad. And I think those underlying factors are really important.
We're spending a lot of time on change management, and I think that added a layer that I think I'm going to take to heart here too. Is like they may not be a quote unquote bad fit customer, but if they don't, like Amazon is going through like massive amounts of layoffs, right? I mean, this is like 28,000 employees and one of our biggest customers, right? So like looking at like these people, what roles are being reduced, and are these decision makers? And if we are going in, if we're not looking at that and going into renewal season and saying, guys, I have to flag massive amounts of risk because we do not have the ability to impact success in the way that we did last year, because we just lost 30% of our headcount that use our tool that are decision makers. That's outside of our control. It's outside of their control. You know, there's just these factors, these layers that you have to add in of saying, like, you have to think through these things. I love that perspective, Kristi.
Yeah, I'm going to add one last thing to kind of try to tie it all together. Bad fit customers is reductive, right? It's just like a binary. So Kristi's approach of creating these like probabilities of success is really important because it will change over time as you go to new markets, as you go up market, down market, new verticals, as you expand your product offering. All of those things will impact whether or not somebody is the right fit for your business. So having an actual probability, having a score, having different factors is going to be really critical to understand like the investment we're making, trying to go up market is working or not. And that's why I get so frustrated with the bad fit customer monitor.
Well, because it's not just right fit, it's also right time, right? How many times do we have customers that are just not at a maturity model that could implement a process that you have, Kristi, like for your tool? I've seen so many demos of your tool and other tools like it where like if you don't have clean data, it doesn't matter how great your tool is, specifically with client success and some of the competitors. You're going to be delayed in finding value regardless of how great your customer success team is. And no amount of demos and no amount of support and no amount of whatever the SaaSter guy says is going to change the fact that that's a churn risk, right? And if you're not capturing that data based on what is the requirement, what is the opportunity to succeed, if you don't have that ranking, then you're going to lose. I will say the last thing he said, number 10 is add a great free trial. And I disagree completely that is an opportunity. That is a way to reduce churn. I think. Did he say that? That is, number 10, add a great free trial. I'm saying this sarcastic. I love Jason. And if you're listening, please call me back. If your free trial experience is truly awesome, customers that might churn will select out during the free trial. That's not all bad. I will say the challenge of that is that that's a pipeline that somebody's managing outside of customer success. Yeah. And it's going to give you false negatives from a sales perspective because you're going to have a massive amount of people that are removing themselves from a pipeline that can't be managed.
Yeah, listen, also, if you're not a PLG product, free trials don't really, they don't work, right? Like you can't do a free trial of my product, right? Because it doesn't work that way. This isn't Calendly. So I think I think that works sometimes.
What do you guys think about 5 through 8? So 5 is do phone support, just do it. 6 is answer all tickets and chats in less than 5 minutes. 7 is visit as many customers via Zoom and in person. 8 is do a weekly webinar for all prospects and customers every week. So all of those are about high touch activities, right? About like just
he's mixing.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna be like the jerks of like ripping apart his list.
We were hoping that he would repost this and share our podcast, but I guess we can throw that out the window. Yeah. So we might as well now just go all at it.
Blocked.
No, but
I've already been blocked.
I'll say this. I think what he like for the people that are listening, there's different business models. There's different go-to-market strategies. Like some of the things he posted do apply. Like here at UpdateAI, like we're trying to do a combination of PLG and direct sales, but client success can't do that because they are selling to VPs and CCOs, and they have to do a direct sales motion. And they have to do an implementation. You can't do PLG with like syncing to a data warehouse. Like, no, that's not a thing. So
okay, so phone support, no, you don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to. If you could afford it, if your customers are paying you a shit ton of money.
Like this list isn't like applicable to everyone, right? This like you have to have resourcing and staffing and like all kind. You have to have money for a lot of this stuff. I don't know about you guys, but money is expensive these days. I don't know. We have a lot of it. I can't phone support.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, my customers aren't even in offices anymore. Like, let's just talk about that for a minute. I'd have to literally go to everyone's home to go have an effective meeting. Like, these things don't scale.
Yeah. Okay. I will say though, number 8, do a weekly webinar for all prospects and customers. I do this. I run this with all of our key accounts. It is an incredible way to get training, but here's the key. And I think this is where it kind of falls down. And I want him to go a little bit deeper in some of this stuff is we use it as funnels where we have like at the first 10 minutes is like, this is how you buy us, right? So for all the prospects, like go email this person and we'll get pricing. And it's all about funnels where there's a follow-up and it's not just, we have managed at scale follow-ups and we have bespoke one-to-one, follow-ups where we do the trainings, we give the demos, and then the people that like need more, we get on like a one-on-one call with very specific customer questions, right? And there's all about the follow-up. And I love these ideas of like, how do we solve as many problems as we can, not in the first call, but how do we kind of get them into the segments that we have the tools to solve? And that's where the tools become agnostic. If you have phone support, great, you're going to send some of them that way. If you have chat support, you're going to send some of them that way. But if you don't have this way for our customers to self-select how they get help and where they find answers, and then you're not measuring and tracking the responses and how that's like adding to success, then nothing on this list matters, and you're just going to keep losing.
So that's my way also of wrapping up this first inaugural episode of our.
We got 2 topics.
We got to 2
out of 9.
That's fine. But do people really want to listen to us for 3 hours? I mean, I don't know, Kristi, how your husband does it for Joe Rogan. How like these like 2-3 hour podcasts.
I don't know.
We're going to keep it pithy.
I love it.
Pithy. Guys, this was awesome. This is exactly what we wanted. Just completely raw, authentic, unchurned. We will be back in 2 weeks in collaboration with the next episode or the next CS Insider report. And thank you everybody for listening in. Give us feedback. Let us know, what you think about this new format. Thanks.
I love it. Thanks, guys.
See you, everybody.